Tariq Cohen signing? Was the question?
I bet that you would be the one that asked. That's a good one. No, Tariq, explosive playmaker, is starting to get back healthy. But, with the new kickoff rules and these kick returners, they're gonna touch the ball over 100 times a year, which is significant. And at least that's what we're anticipating. And a guy like him, he's still young, obviously coming off his injuries, but we're excited to have him aboard.
This is pre-you, but I remember Brant talking very highly of him several years ago. What was his reaction when you guys got this?
He's pumped up about it. I've heard all the stories, but I think we share it. From a defensive standpoint, having the game plan against him when he was with the Bears, he was a nightmare. I know when we played them, he had a punt return for a touchdown back at Soldier Field. So he's a playmaker.
You mentioned the impact of the new kickoff rule. Who would you say your leading candidates right now or in the kickoff return room?
It is an open battle, but Xavier Gibson did it for us a year ago, and so he's going to get first dibs. But it's you've got two guys back there now, so it's an interesting set of rules and something that I think we're all excited to learn more about as we go.
Losing Justin Hardy, obviously, big blow there. Just talk about your faith in the special teams unit and also Irv Charles and what he showed you last year. Yeah,
for sure. Irv, big body, strong, physical. Brent's one of the better special teams coordinators in all of football. So, he always finds a way to produce a great unit, and we've got great character guys. We're excited about the backs that we drafted. Those guys are going to help out some, and but all the way across the board, I think we've got a pretty good deep group.
Robert, both Aaron, I think that Daniel mentioned last week how you've taken a more active role in the offensive meeting room. What led to that? And can you kind of just tell us what's different this year maybe than years past?
For me, last year was year one, so there was a lot of I talked about it last week in my press conference. A lot of learning even for me. First time I had been a part of an offense where the quarterback had such a voice, and so a lot of it was me absorbing and along with everyone else and learning this new system. It's year two. It's this natural evolution. We've got a really good grasp of the offense, and so just trying to provide some insight from a defensive perspective. Just to understand what they're trying to accomplish and just trying to provide some insights. If it feels more, it's probably just, like I said last week, there's a lot more dialogue, and including from myself, but it's more from a defensive perspective.
You are adding your insight, but will you step in with things that you want the offense to accomplish, like in terms of, I want this to be a focus, I want this to be a priority?
Well, we always do that, with regards to style of play, and but as far as like a specific play or a specific, I don't envision ever being somebody who's going to mandate a specific thing. They've got a vision of what they're trying to accomplish on that side of the ball, and we have a style that we're trying to accomplish as a team. That part I'll always be vocal on, but at the same time, it's. I'll have suggestions just like any other head coach, but if I feel convicted, obviously, but I don't envision any of that happening in the near future.
What do you think the offense will look like or can be if everybody, Aaron's healthy, you have the line, pretty solid? We'll
see. I think we're all hopeful that if, and we all believe that if we can stay healthy, we'll be pretty damn good. We've got playmakers. We've got a really good receiving core. Mike Williams is still trying to get back. When he gets back, he adds dimension. I think Allen's had a really nice OTAs. He looks good. And then our backs, Brees is Brees, but the Izzy looks good. The two young rookies we drafted look really good. Valladay looks good. So it's an exciting offense. It's an exciting group. Just a matter of creating an identity and sticking with it and being who we all know we can be.
How much of this offseason, with everything you guys went through, losing Aaron week one, unexpected, how much are you actively trying to prepare for a worst case scenario this year?
I think that started last year. You go through, you install an offense. Quarterback gets hurt. You try to keep that same offense. and then the O-line gets decimated. And so you're just trying to find something that you can never build something fully injury-proof, but at least something that's got a smoother transition. And I think that evolution started a year ago and continued into the offseason, and it's been good. I think from speaking for the offense, I think all of it's been good. It's been tied together. There's a lot more clarity on what it would look like, despite regardless of who's at quarterback. And for that, I think we've experienced a lot of growth in that regard, which has been a good thing.
I know Zach brought up the worst case scenario. It's not to bring up the worst case scenario, but you guys signed a backup, ton of experience, plays well when he's out there. But Tyrod does have some durability concerns himself throughout his career. Do you guys almost need to have a third quarterback that is more than just a developmental project, like somebody that break glass in case of emergency and you can feel confident?
We do. We got Jordan, and once Jordan gets up to speed, but the idea of having 3 or 4 quarterbacks, there's just not enough space on the roster. But we've got a lot of faith in what we think we can develop with Jordan. We're going to pour our heart and soul into him, and anyone else who plays quarterback. But at the same time, a lot of faith in Tyrod. I know the injury concerns, but I do know when he's out there, he's pretty damn good too. So.
You mentioned Mike Williams. Is he doing his rehab on his own, or is he here doing it?
He's here.
He's here.
Yeah.
And what do you expect? Your best guess at this point in terms of when he might be back to cleared for football? I mean, he's not going to be the start of training camp.
No, that one's more for the doctors. I don't want to put a statement out for everybody, but he is progressing. He does look good, but I don't have a timeline.
What'd you make of there was like a report or whatever about the idea of removing OTAs or whatever, doing a longer ramp up into training camp? Like, where do you stand on like that idea?
Well, it depends. Because if you look at it between April, you got 2 months between April and mid-June where you're getting some good training, especially with these young guys. If we're not losing that time, I'm not saying start 2 months earlier, but there's a way to fit it in there where you can at least get your phase 1, phase 2 by adding 2 or 3 weeks. I think it's a great thing. I think if you're looking at player health and safety, I think in my opinion, what causes a lot of these injuries early in camp is the fact that you've got 40 days off where guys aren't really doing football stuff. They're working out, but they're not really locked into football. They're at the beach. They're being kids, and which they should be. But those 40 days, and then you're boom right in the training camp, and that 1 week acclimation period that we have to start training camp, it's not nearly enough to get these guys going. But so I'm for it as long as we're able to maintain the work that needs to be done to continue to develop these young men the way they need to be developed.
It's obviously there's a lot that's still going on. Like it was kind of a broadleaf, left open a lot to interpret. But could you imagine a situation where you could successfully prepare a team if you, I'm talking about phase 1, phase 2, but lost the on-field portions of OTAs and minicamp?
You'd have to figure it out because every team is going to be, whatever the rule is, every team is going to have to deal with it. But there's the limitation for the young guys it's already limited for them. But it'd be a challenge that we'd have to figure out.
Will you be doing, I think the Giants said you guys are doing the joint practice.
Yep.
Will you be doing it with other teams too?
Yeah, the plan is with Washington and Carolina. Washington here, Carolina over there.
Robert, what's the next step for Garrett in year 3?
You know what? It's just to continue the maturation process. I've always, not to put extra expectations on him, but year 3 is usually when these young kids figure it out fully. He's been phenomenal his first 2 years, but year 3 is when they learn balance between their newfound fame, the money in their bank account, the social media stuff, the branding, and the family part of it, and then the football part of it. They learn how to balance all of that so they can keep the main thing, which is being a great football player. And Garrett comes from a great background, great family, and he's always had his head on straight. And I think just him going year 3, knowing the game the way he knows it now, I think sky's the limit for him.
Couple more. Aaron said something in the interview with Adam Shine last week, but those guys, the 2022, the 4 guys, Sauce, Garrett, Reese, and Jermaine, that they're kind of entering a phase where they should be taking more leadership. Like they're sort of growing up, so to speak. Do you see that?
Yeah, that's part of the year 3, the maturation process. You know, it's where they do have voices. They do have. They're going to be leaned on. They're not just off to the side when the team breaks it down. They're going to be asked to break the team down once in a while. You know, it's like they are. What they want this team to look like, they're going to be a big focal point in terms of if they want their team to look good, they're kind of the bell calls in that regard. But they're definitely taking a voice. I know Sauce has, Brees has. Brees looks fantastic, and but it's a really impressive group.
The one thing that I don't believe we've asked you about this, but this changing of the OTAs minicamp, it seems like it might be a precursor to adding an 18th game. Do you have any feelings on that at all?
It doesn't matter. But no,
People come at the expense of probably losing that preseason game. I don't know if that's for the coach.
Yeah, which is fine. But whatever the league figures out, like I said, we'll all have to adjust.
Well, good. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks, guys.